Hey, what's going on, guys? G1X here, and today we're taking a look at a third-party figure. This time we're taking a look at Keith's Fantasy Club, or KFC. They later will change their name to KTC, Keith's Toy Club, Sencho Barbosa. Basically, their representation of Brave Goldrand series Captain Shark. Now, I do have the Captain Shark here for comparison, along with a few other things, even another Brave Masterpiece figure, and that's why I kind of wanted to get this guy. As soon as I saw that KFC was going to make him, he was pretty much already bought. I was just wanting some type of Masterpiece Brave figure, because all I have right now is King X Kaiser. I still need the Dragon Kaiser, and that thing's just expensive. But if a third-party company could give me something that I can't just get with Hasbro or Takara because they're not making it anymore, then that's where I can see, the third-party companies start to really step in and kind of take the market for themselves. But they're too busy making the exact same thing and coming out with 9 different styles of Dinobots. So this is something that I was kind of excited for. I wish the quality was a little bit better, and we'll kind of get into that. There's a couple of things that you'll need to change to make him fit up correctly, because a couple of things were misassembled whenever he came in package, but they're easy fixes. Won't take you more than 10 seconds to fix them, so that's something that I wanted to point out. But this is him. I've transformed him and transformed him back, so I've assembled him correctly. So you can see that everything kind of matches up nice and tight. He does come with this stand, which I absolutely love. You really have to have it with this guy, because some of the flaws that he does have is these little tips. It's just such thin plastic. All these tips around him, they're kind of bent a little bit. Now, none of them were broken off, fortunately, but they're just kind of bent a little, and you kind of have to straighten them out with your fingers, and it doesn't take too long. You still kind of see some of the where it looks like it's been kind of stressed. It doesn't bother me that much, but maybe they should have used a little bit stronger plastic or not made them so thin and sharp, because there's some places on this guy that if you push your finger hard enough against, I mean, it will puncture your skin, So this is definitely for someone that's 16 and above. It's not made for a kid, so definitely don't buy it for them. They'll hurt themselves, I guarantee you. But you do get the stand, which is really nice, because if you just set them down on the ground, one, he's going to look stupid if you just set them down on the ground. But it would rest up against these fins right here, and I think that would put too much stress on them, and they'll eventually break off or put just, more stress marks on them. So the stand is really nice. It's sturdy. As you can see, that it holds them quite nice. It's kind of at an angle there. You do have a little bit of articulation. This does move. It kind of goes back and forth here. It's on 2 different ball joints and can turn, so that's really cool. His mouth does open and close, and it is a tight joint, so you don't have to worry about wanting it to stay up and it just falls down. So it'll stay there wherever you want it to. You can see that you've got a place here for whenever he's in his robot mode, that you can put his back little weapon fin thing that was never in the Brave series or for Captain Shark, but you can put that there. You can put his sword or his cutlass right here. You can actually assemble this on this back little missile pod thing, but it would have to kind of tilt to the side just because it would be in the way where the stand actually plugs in. But before we get into taking a look at these weapons and the transformation in robot mode, I want to take a few comparisons for you guys so you can kind of see how he kind of stacks up against some of the other figures that you might own. As far as Masterpiece, here is a Masterpiece Kingslayer or Hot Rod, whichever one you want to call him. I call him Kingslayer because he's responsible of Optimus Prime's death. But he's about the same, right there to the back fins, right here to the front of the the nose of the car. So that's about how long he is in his shark mode. But for the comparison that you guys probably wanted to see is him with Captain Shark, with who he's supposed to represent. Now, this is a much brighter blue and kind of red, where this guy's a little bit more darker. I don't mind this. This kind of pops on your shelf. It looks a little bit better. It's not as dull looking, but it's fine. I don't mind it at all. I would have liked it probably a little bit more if it was like the original, but that's fine. But you can kind of see them as far as size scale. We'll just kind of put them nose to nose there, and you can see that the original is obviously quite a much larger figure. But there's a lot of nods here. For one, you kind of look at the green eyes on this guy, which was just a sticker. It's kind of a reflective green. They put the green eyes on this guy. You can see on the stickers here to where you have the gold stripe and these 2 little things that I guess they're just little details. Not sure what they're supposed to be. This is actually painted in on that guy. Also with the blue reflective sticker that went around here that a lot of people ended up, messing up because they started too far down here. You can see blue here, and then you got the silver to kind of represent that. There's a lot more little extra details in here that I like about this guy. Also here at the fins, you can see you got the gray and the blue, so nice nods there. Overall, I think it's a nice representation of a third party trying to kind of give you a masterpiece, Captain Shark. These little gold fins back here, they don't represent anything on the original, but that's fine. It's part of him looking all sharp and edgy looking. Now the transformation, if you know how to transform this guy, you're gonna know how to transform him. Because it's almost like not only did they kind of rip off, the idea of making a Captain Shark, they kind of ripped off the transformation because there's not much really different there. But let's go ahead and move this guy out of the way. We'll take him off his stand and put that to the side. Now, this is what I was talking about with, if you just set him down like that, he's kind of resting on this missile pod, but he's going to rest on this little section here as well. Now, if you wanted to put the sword in here, this would clip in there and just move down. So as you can see, where you would actually plug the stand in is right there, and it clips in right there. So you'd have to move this to the side. And so if you don't mind that, you can have all his weapons assembled when he's on the stand. Otherwise, you're going to need to take his cutlass out. Now to get this out, it's actually plugged in here and here. I'm going to move this arm out of the way. And I just want to show you what it looks like without it, so you can kind of see what I was talking about earlier. So yeah, if you don't have that in, he's just going to rest on his fins, which, that's going to eventually kind of start to warp that. So let's go ahead and get this guy transformed. Oh, he does have these little ball joints for his little turrets here, which is really cool. I like that. But to get this guy transformed, the first thing that we're going to do is... Oh, you gotta watch yourself there. End up bending that. There are these elbow joints that are stuck back there. And here, so you're gonna try to move this out, and you're gonna have to press this back just a little bit so you can get that elbow joint out. And there you go. One of the things that came misassembled is they had, or it's not really misassembled, they just had it transformed improperly. You can see how I have the fist there to where they can rest in this cavity here. It makes him fit together a lot better. The way they had it is they had it out, and it was like these hands, man, they will puncture your skin too. They had it out like this, and they're all crammed in here. So whenever you get him out of package, he does come in his shark mode. It won't feel like it's all put together correctly. So that's something that I just changed on the transformation. Let's go ahead and do the other one here. Get that one out. And we'll go ahead and come down with these hands. Come down with that one. You're going to rotate right here at the bicep. The same thing with this one. And then we're going to rotate at these hands. We already did this one. And this is another thing, man. Every little piece that you want to turn, these little claws here, they will puncture you as well. So we'll just leave close his mouth up. You can kind of see how thin the plastic is just by looking at these holes on the side. I mean, it's just super thin. Now with this section here, we need to separate all this. This is a little bit hard to separate, but if you wiggle the tail right here, because it just comes apart, you'll see that it untabs that. So that helps out a little bit. You can get that out. There we go. And give you that little section there. Put that off to the side. Now that we have that separated, there's two pegs, one on this end and one on this end, so I guess just one on each side. Go ahead and pop that off, and you can come down with the leg. Pop that off, and you can come down with that leg. And go ahead and straighten those legs out. Now with the feet, this comes misassembled to where come out with the heel spur and come out with the front foot. Now, the front feet, these actually come on upside down, but there's a separate ball joint, and this is kind of like a friction joint around that ball joint, where the ball joint will stay there. This will just pop it off, and then, turn it around and pop it back on, and you'll be good to go. So it only takes about 5-10 seconds. Go ahead and do the same with this one. Get this foot out there. It's just a a factory error, so nothing too big. And get those legs out like we need. Alright, for this section here, you're going to separate, come out this way. Whenever you're moving these, make sure you're grabbing and moving right here. You don't want to grab and move back here, because as you can see, this kind of pulls apart right there, and you'll end up breaking that off. And you snap that off, you're not going to be able to transform them in either way. You'll have to leave him in his robot mode. Go ahead and pull these in. This you're going to come back with, or actually we'll keep those out for a moment. Come back with, yeah, this section here. You can see that this comes up, and this little section will actually push through this cavity. So we go, push through that. So if we can grab this little door, get his head out. I don't have any fingernails, so give me your head. There we go. Pull his head all the way back, close this up, and then push his head forward. That'll lock that little piece in right there. And then you can come down and snap his waist together. Then with this, go ahead and pull those in. And make sure you're grabbing here, because you can see how thin that is. That's why they couldn't connect them to this piece, because this actually swings down in here, and you can see how fragile that is. It's just hanging on those thin pieces of plastic. Go ahead, and there's two pegs. This one here doesn't seem to want to ever peg in correctly. But there is Sencho Barbosa, or your masterpiece Captain Shark, if you will. And let's get a little 360 of him real quick. I will put all his weapons on him, and I do have plenty of comparisons for whenever he's in robot mode, so you get a really good idea of what type of shelf you want to put him on. But he's going to go on my Brave shelf next to my Masterpiece King X Geyser. You can see that he's got quite a bit of back kibble right here, but it doesn't, really hinder him for, balancing, because he's got these nice, strong heel spurs. I think they're strong. And there's some nice paint apps, as you can see here, and some nice details throughout here. Let's go ahead and cover our articulation as well. His head, it's on a ball joint, so this looks all over the place. However you need, tilt side to side. Hit these little turns. They still, have a little ball joint, so they move, and you can position those however you like. These shoulders, they can go front and back. That's part of the transformation. Then he can rotate about this much, and then he starts to, hit some stuff there. But he can rotate that much. He can go in and out here at the shoulder. He can rotate at the bicep. He has double jointed elbows. These are, grab this to where it doesn't hurt me. You can rotate here at the fist. His harpoon and his hook here, they actually rotate, but they're a little bit tighter. At first you don't think they're glued together, but they will rotate. His waist does rotate. I guess you can go, yeah, you can go 360 there. These little flaps, they can come up a little bit, so you can get a little bit more movement, but you have a ball joint there. Go up about that much. He does have a thigh cut there as well, as you can see, so he can go quite a bit there. Whenever you're putting him back into shark mode, you just need to make sure you have that lined up correctly. His knees have double joints, so they can close up pretty nice. And his foot, it's got a little bit of a rocker just because of that ball joint, so it helps out with some of the posability. But let's go ahead and get, you know what? I'm gonna transform Captain Shark on camera as well, or hopefully this turns out okay. But basically, so you can kind of see the transformation, see how they're very similar. There's his cannon. Look at the comparison between those two things. It's crazy. Alright, so for Captain Shark, for you guys that haven't ever seen this transformation, you basically come down with this. Here's his feet. Here's his heel spurs. Everything probably won't be on camera, but you're going to, oh yeah, haven't done him in a while. Come down with this and slide out. Rotate there. So pretty much exactly the same. camera. There goes my harpoon. And split the tail. And these will actually plug in here. You see that you have sword storage. You come down with this section here. Yeah, that goes over there. And same thing with his head. You know, it's right there. Push that. So yeah, as far as the transformation, there's not really a lot that changed. Obviously, the legs are a little bit different, but it's quite a bit the same. They don't look too bad together. I do like them. Find that piece again. Now, one of the cool things about both of them is you can still attach his little launcher here. Put his cutlass in his hand. So the way you would do this on the original is you came up with this section here, and this would plug in. Up top. And I know you can't see that, but you get the general idea. With this, you can move this. Now you can come back with it like this, and you can just make him have a little handgun, which doesn't really stay in his hand that well. Or you can do it the proper way and put it over here on his shoulder. Now you can do either shoulder, but obviously with trying to mock the original, putting it on his right shoulder, that's where I'm going to do it as well. Now you can also use this thing as a weapon. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it on his stand, but that kind of fits in his hand and it's kind of loose. Doesn't really fit in there very well. Alright, but take a look at these as far as comparison. You can even see with the gem and crossbones, or ruby and crossbones, they did the same thing here. With the green left eye, they gave him the green left eye there. He's got his eye patch. I believe the other two molds of this are recolors that they're doing. The other two figures, they're basically of this mold. They're not going to have the eye patch, so that's going to be something a little bit different. The 4 cannons up top. I always put the harpoon on this side and this hook on that side, just because they're hollow up underneath. But they chose to swap them. With the gold here, you can see where it's actually relevant, even though they're not spikes on Captain Shark. Also here at the waist, where they have the gold there, the silver on the legs, so a little bit of gray down here. This guy, unfortunately, he doesn't make a tank mode or a little train mode, so it is what it is. I don't think very many people ever put him in his little train or tank mode anyway. A couple of other comparisons I'll grab. If you guys collect the Super Robot Chigoken or SR series figures, here's a look at those two together, so you can kind of get an idea as far as size goes. That is Galgaigar. And here is, for you third-party collectors, there is Fans Project's Code or Chrome Dome. And this is why I think that this is not too bad for a masterpiece third-party representation, just because I think that he's going to look pretty good with this guy, or he does look pretty nice. This is actually a masterpiece figure from Takara for the Brave, King X Geyser. So, which they only came out with 2 masterpieces, which was King X Geyser, and then you had Dragon Kaiser as well. They can combine. Captain Shark going from the Gold Rand series of Brave. I would really like to see more third-party companies jump on this and give us more Brave figures, because obviously Takara is not going to do it anymore, or they haven't shown any reason why they would. But this guy was released some time ago, and I thought he was really cool. He came with a ton of accessories, and I'm a big fan of the Brave series. I know a few of my fans, or not my fans, but my friends, and some of my subs, Jam, Action Jackman, you guys, Victory Saber 77. You guys are huge Brave fans. You helped me get into it, and I can see you getting this for that reason. For transforming him maybe a couple of times, put him on your shelf, and he kind of looks nice. If you do think this looks nice. But if you're going to transform this guy multiple times. If you're going to transform them like you would, your Generations Deluxe or Voyager, whenever you get that in, don't get him. Because he's way too fragile. You're even as careful as you can be, you're eventually going to puncture yourself. I mean, big deal, you can put a Band-Aid on it, but I think after a time, you will break this figure if you handle it multiple times, just because the plastic is so thin. So, I know it was a long review. I wanted to cover a lot with it, and that's kind of my suggestion. I can't tell you whether you should or should not buy him. It really depends on how often you handle him. So, hopefully that helps. Thanks a lot, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and peace.